Welcome to the Flysimware Learjet 35A for MSFS. It's currently in early access, so let's take it for a full flight and see how it performs. The flight deck is really well modelled with a lot of authentic instruments. We're flying the version with the default GNS 530 GPS, and if we head down to it and scroll through the flight plan, we can see that the flight that I planned a little bit earlier in the world map has automatically fetched through. In terms of autopilot setup, we need to activate the nav switch so the airplane will follow the plan that we've set. And for vertical modes, you dial in your desired altitude in the left corner as shown here, and then you press altitude select. Before we fly, we'll also switch on the pitot heat because by default from a runway start only one of the two is switched on. And that's it, we're ready to go. So parking brake off and full throttle. As we rotate, bring the landing gear up as soon as we have positive rate. We'll also raise the flaps. I'm going to activate vertical speed mode to set my current vertical speed, and I'm going to activate the autopilot.
118.475 November 145.
The airplane has no problem following the flight plan that we set. After takeoff, I did throttle back a little bit just to stay below 250 knots while we fly our departure out of Stansted. For convenience, you can also set the vertical mode to speed. This will adjust the pitch of the airplane automatically to hold your desired airspeed. In our case, it actually gave us a little bit more climb performance.
Maintain flight level 360-1155 November 145 Alpha Juliet.
At top of climb, the airplane correctly levels off at the selected altitude that you dialed in. At this point, you'll also want to dial back the throttle slightly just to make sure the airplane doesn't go over speed during cruise, because it doesn't have auto throttle or cruise speed control or anything like that. So as you can see here, we're holding a very steady 325 knots during cruise. We'll also take a quick look at the fully modelled cabin. I do love a business jet cabin in a flight simulator. At top of descent as directed by ATC, I'm just going to dial in my bottom of descent altitude, hit altitude select, then idle the throttle. Let the airplane slow down to about 250 knots, and then once it's at that speed, unengage speed as my vertical mode, the airplane will pitch down with an idle throttle to maintain 250 knots. As we reach bottom of descent, I leave the throttle idle as we are almost on approach, and I want the airplane to continue decelerating to its approach speed. Once it reaches that approach speed, which in this airplane is between 100 and 120 knots, I'm going to drop the landing gear and engage full flaps ready for approach. The airplane will automatically switch over to localizer mode as it passes its intercept waypoint, and as we pass the glide slope, I activate the glide slope mode. The airplane then begins to descend on the slope. The airplane does wander slightly as it gets closer to the runway, so I disengage the autopilot and decide to land the airplane manually. This airplane really does not weigh a lot whatsoever, so if there's the smallest gust of wind, as you get closer to the runway, it's just going to take it, as you'll see here. So we're idle throttle, flaring and floating a bit, not going to lie. And you can see here, a sudden gust means we have to kick over the rudder as soon as we touch down, but we bring it to a stop successfully. And that concludes our demo flight. This is a fantastic plane. It's $40 on early access. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please drop a like. Feel free to subscribe for regular sim content. Take care, and I'll see you next time.